What's up guys, I'm Andy from 1A Auto. In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the turn signal switch on this 2010 Toyota RAV4. If you need parts for your vehicle, click the link in the description and head over to 1aauto.com. Disconnect the negative battery terminal. We'll use a 10mm wrench. Loosen this nut up and pull the connection off and set this aside. You don't want this to arc out on the battery, so make sure it doesn't spring back. On the side of the steering wheel, there's a hole right here, and there's also one on the other side. I'm gonna take a T30 driver, and you're gonna find there's a screw in there. So it may take a little bit to find it, but once you find it, loosen it up. It's on there pretty tight. There you go. And the screw's not gonna come out, it's just gonna loosen up so that you can pull the airbag off. All right, that's good. And then I'll do the same on the other side. There we go. Get that loose, grab the airbag. We can disconnect the connectors. There's a connector right here. Just grab that and try to pull this out, just like that. And then these two connectors. For these two connectors, I'm just gonna use a pick, and you wanna pull this centerpiece up first. Try to get under here. There's a little lock. Locks these in, just like that. Once you get that up, you can get underneath the connector and slide it out. Just be careful not to break these. Just like that. Then you can grab the airbag. When you place the airbag down, place it with the top of it facing up, just in case it goes off. You don't want it this way. You don't want it to go off that way. We're gonna disconnect these wires right here. Disconnect this one, push down on the tab, slide that aside. And then also we'll disconnect this one as well. Push down on that tab, slide it out. This wire right here, we'll leave that attached. I want to take this nut off. I'm going to use a 19mm socket and a ratchet. And I'm going to hold the steering wheel with my other arm and loosen that up. I should be able to do it by hand. Take that nut. I'm just going to loosen the nut, not quite all the way off. Then I'm just going to grab the steering wheel, give it a shake back and forth. The reason you leave the nut on there is so that when it releases, the steering wheel doesn't hit you in the face. So that's released. You can also use a puller. You can thread in the puller right there and then press it off, but you don't necessarily need a puller. Take the nut off. Now before you take the steering wheel off, now the steering wheel is not keyed, so you could actually take it off and move it over a tooth and it's still gonna go on fine. So what you wanna do before you take this off completely, just take a little felt tip pen and just mark where the steering wheel goes, okay? Then once you go to put it back on, you're gonna know that, oh, it's not in the right position. So that way you get it back to where it was. Pull this off. All right, with the clock spring, it is kind of dangerous to just leave this out. You don't want this to spin. So you can just take a piece of tape, try to tape it to the center shaft of the column, and then tape on the clock spring. That way it doesn't spin. You know, I'm sure there's some other methods to prevent this from spinning, but for right now, we'll do that. Once I get these covers off, I can tape it on the outside. Just gonna take a straight blade screwdriver or a pocket screwdriver. Just go right in here. Just pry this part down right here as well. Just release this. Lower the adjuster right there. And just pull this off. With the adjuster loose, then you can pull the whole steering column out, just like that. Release that. Slide this off. The top part just slides up just like that. All right, we're just gonna disconnect this connector right here, just like that, and this one as well. This one has a slide. You just kind of slide it out. So you could take a pocket screwdriver or even use your fingernail and you just slide this out. And when you slide that out, it releases, and then you can slide the connector off. So that's at the bottom. And this connector as well. Just push on the tab, slide it out. I'm gonna retape the top part of the clock spring to keep it from spinning. Just tape it like this. And take my pocket screwdriver, just gonna grab on the clock spring, just give it a little pressure towards me, and then right here there's a release, right there, and then right here as well. Release those two tabs, release that top one in the back, and pull this off. Just make sure this is taped so it doesn't spin. Right, now we're going to disconnect the connectors. You can either use a straight blade screwdriver, just pop the connectors off, or your finger. Sometimes it's a little easier to use a pocket screwdriver. Get those off. Up top here, I can use some needle nose pliers. I just want to release this right here. It's kind of like a hose clamp. And then there's a little tab right here in the back. What you want to do is, with your other hand, push that tab up, and that's going to release. There's that little groove right there. The tab is right in there. And you're able to get that off. Now, just to separate the wiper switch from the turn signal switch, just take a pick or a screwdriver, just push down on this tab right here. And push this out, just like that. All right, we can reattach the wiper switch right now. Just line everything up and lock it in place. All right, I'm just gonna use needle nose pliers. Again, putting this on and then line this up. Get that out of the way. And just slide this all the way down, lock it in place, and let go of the clamp. And just give it a shake, make sure it's good, and it looks good. You can also tell if it's all the way on right here. If there's a big gap in between there and the plastic piece right here, then it's not all the way down. There's no gap here, so we're good. We can plug the connectors in, just line them up, lock them in place. All right, take the clock spring. Now, if you have a new clock spring, it's probably already gonna be set. So you're gonna wanna make sure when you took the old one off that your wheels are straight, because that's how they are set up. So we're just reusing ours. So just line up the tabs and lock it back in place. Take the connectors, oops. Connect that white connector back there, lock it in place. Black one goes right here. Oh, no. Take that back. The yellow one goes right here. Lock that in place, and the black one goes right there. When I go to put the top back on, the tape's going to be covered up. So what I'm going to do is just take another piece of masking tape and tape from the front right here, just to prevent this from spinning. And I can take that tape off. It doesn't have to be on really good or tight or anything, just to prevent it from spinning. There may be some other methods to keep this from spinning. If you have any methods, leave me a comment below. So let's line this top up. There is a little tab right here. It's gonna get lined up there. Lock that in place. And take the bottom. Now where the adjuster handle is, you're gonna have to slide that through the slot in the lower tab. this up. Go over the key cylinder. And just line this up and lock it back in place. Looks good. Now we can lock the steering wheel lock. All right, now carefully take that masking tape off. Slide these wires through here. Make sure the clock spring doesn't spin. And then line the steering wheel up with the mark that you made before you took it off. And take the steering wheel nut, the nut behind the wheel. Tighten that nut down. Then I'm going to take a 19mm socket and a torque wrench. Torque this nut to 37 foot-pounds. There we go. All right, now I'm just going to connect the smaller connector right here. That goes to the cruise control switch, and then this bigger connector that connects to the steering wheel button right there. Now we want to plug these connectors in. Make sure you don't twist these all around. I'm actually going to connect this black wire right here first. It's actually the ground for the horn, or that's what makes the horn work. And plug the orange connector on the orange side, just like that. Lock it in place, and then the black one on the black side. And lock it in place. And just make sure those wires aren't twisted, anything weird. They look good. Just line this up. Goes right there. And take your T30 driver. You're gonna do one side at a time. Get that on there. Tighten that up. And then we'll tighten up the other side. So I'm just tightening these up. Make sure they're good and snug. Now, if you have the ability to use a torque wrench, you're going to torque these to 78 inch-pounds. I'm not going to be able to do that because I can't put a torque wrench on the end of my driver, but I'm just doing the best I can. Let's reattach the negative cable and take your 10mm wrench, tighten this up. Snug that up, just wiggle it, make sure it's nice and tight, and you're good to go.
Thanks for watching. If you want the parts to do it yourself, check out oneaauto.com, the place for DIY auto repair.